music for me has always been my way of having an antidepressant or a way to, you know, be able to express something or a feeling.
So yeah, thanks, Elly, for joining me for these little 3 questions. Elly Hoyt's a great vocalist and composer, and I guess academic now, a teacher in the UK, and probably lots of other things. So yeah, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. So yeah, the first question is, why do you have music in your life?
That is a good question. I've been thinking a little bit about this, and there are a number of factors, I think. But the first one for me is it helps me to make sense of the world. And what I mean by that, I guess, is that music for me has always got this emotional attachment to a situation or something that's happened in my life. And I also write music as a way to process a lot of things. For example, say, I remember a visceral memory of when I got a phone call about a friend of mine that passed away in a car accident. And I remember this, and I was at a job. I was actually teaching in a studio at the time. This would have been 10 years ago. And I remember viscerally going oh my God, how do I even function right now? I've got to go teach these students. And I remember sort of using music as a way to sort of be able to go, whoa, okay, I've got half an hour. And I remember just wailing, playing the piano. I didn't choose to just cry in a corner, or I didn't, go do all these things. I actually just wailed. And I remember sitting on this keyboard, let's say, I've got the keyboard here, but it's not turned on. But I'd just put my hands on and just be wail and sing and wail. And I was able to process that moment and then just kind of get to a point of okay, I'm okay, and then move on. And I realize I do that with everything that I do is music. Without music, I wouldn't be able to function. I wouldn't be able to actually process my shit. Wouldn't be able to kind of move through whatever I'm going through. And then you look at the good stuff, you might go on to an amazing wedding, or this beautiful thing happened. And I also process that feeling through my music when I'm composing and just listening. And I think number one, it's kind of, that's music for me has always been my way of having an antidepressant or a way to, be able to express something or a feeling. And that would be my first sort of point.
Well, that's a pretty huge point.
Yeah. But then I think it relates, Mace, back to also being a singer. I don't know if that changes for different instruments, but for me personally, because I am a vocalist, that is my number one instrument. It's not like I go to a piano or a guitar and I play that and get the same catharsis or the same sort of feeling, way of expressing. I feel like the voice for me is the one that's connected to my body that is able to kind of be used in that way.
Yeah. I've found hard to express through an instrument because it's sort of this there's this thing in the way. I mean, it's the thing you're trying to express with, but it is, there's a lot, I was talking to someone about, trying to get, younger people to play the blues, and it's they can, kids can be very, very sad and anxious, or have all these feelings, but if they don't know how to use that instrument, they can't express. You can't just be bluesy by being sad and then just express that through your instrument. That's it's this sort of thing. But I guess with your voice, you can just express. Yeah. You can either just start screaming, or you can whisper, or you can all these kind of things. But so that I guess that connection with the voice is much closer.
Yeah, I think so. And as you say, is the toolkit, the technique, I guess, is so much, as you say, yelling, whispering, screaming are all going to be, pretty easy to access. Whereas if you've got a trombone, it's pretty archaic. You got this, you've got to really move. You've got to do all these things to even elicit that sound or make that sound. So, it's really interesting. But then there was another point I was going to make is also this idea of connection and belonging. And I realized that music for me has been my way of feeling connected and that I belong somewhere. And I think that's a huge part of why I make music, but also play music with other people, because it's always been a collaborative sort of thing for me. I haven't always had a solo career. It's always been, you know, I book these different musicians and then I go to these jams or I go to these kind of gigs and I get to see people. And it's funny because I was even thinking, like, we've only met a few times, but when we do, it's always a really good, wonderful time. And I remember the last time I saw you was at a gig, and we kind of connected because we were just at a gig together, and I was performing, I think, with Kristen Brady and Katie Noonan.
Oh, yeah, there was a Brisbane Jazz Club.
Yeah, and you happened to be there. And so I felt connected. I felt like it was I'm a part of a community, even though you're in WA, even though I lived in Brisbane at the time and now I live in London. It's such an incredible way, and continues to be, for me to feel like I'm not alone, I think, in this world. And I have people all around the world, in Australia, America, that I can contact through music because of that connection.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that friendship. And there's something about musicians that we're kind of all the same. Like, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, I've met, you know, people in Japan that, you know, you realise, you know, once you get through a bit of language issues, it's sort of we've got the same attitudes, and it's all over the world. And I think that's and that's, I think, the wonderful thing about especially musicians. There's something. I mean, who knows? It could be, you know, I don't know, plumbers all have a similar vibe.
Maybe.
And you know, you go to Germany and it's like, these plumbers are great people. I don't know.
We're one.
Yeah, we are one. We're all connected by pipes. It's all connected.
Exactly. Oh, it's brilliant.
Maybe the second question, which is, how do you make music?
So I've been primarily a performer. So I would make music for most of my career by sort of playing with other people, and I haven't always been a solo artist, so it's always been booking musicians, bass player, drummer, and making music on the bandstand. Not a lot of rehearsals. Usually, you know, in a sound check we rehearse, you know, that's kind of where it evolved to. But yeah, so generally, you know, making music was to start with other musicians on the bandstand. But what's been really wonderful, you know, as we evolve, I think, as people and musicians, and for me personally, has been that I've sort of really moving into composing and also songwriting as itself, which has been incredible. And so I make music with myself a lot lately because
all this isolation, you're going to be able to do that freely.
Exactly. And if you can't, then you're up shit creek. But for the last 3 months, like, it's been an incredible journey for me because I've had to kind of shift. And also I'm living in a new country. This has been another one for me, is for the last 2 years I've moved to London, and I sort of made a conscious choice not to go crazy head into gigging. I kind of got into a university teaching pretty quickly. I was setting up my home, and I wanted to not do too much, because that is the other pitfall, is in the past I've burnt out because I'm just juggling so much and doing so much. It's always within music, but it's just sometimes too much. So I was kind of came to London going, you know, I won't do too much. I'll just keep it settled, which meant I wasn't gigging a lot. And so what's happened is it's opened up this wonderful time for me to really go like, okay, well, you've always wanted to compose more, write more, arrange. You know, let's do it. You've got all this time. And so I've honestly been writing the most I've ever in my career. Like, I'm writing all these different music, like from, you know, singer-songwriter kind of contemporary folk stuff to like some more, you know, more in the jazz world. And so in terms of how I generally will improvise, it's always my first kind of place. It's always like, I will find some random notes on a piano. I might find some sort of random tuning on the guitar, or I'll have a melody in my head. It's always different ways. And so I might say, I might sit here going, and I'll just start, okay. So, I'll go, okay, cool, I like this sound. And then I'll generally just be in that zone, that creating zone. I'm just loving being a child again. Like, I love this idea of play. you know, and
that is a fun part.
Oh, that is the best. And so that's what I've been doing. The issue is I'm not finishing a lot of my work. But I'm loving doing it. So I have a lot of stuff, you know, so that's been that's how I create, I guess, is that way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that childlike state where you just being excited about sounds and pitches and rhythms and all that sort of, that is one of the best parts. And then there's like all that annoying hard work, like finishing it, and then it gets to be fun again because then you get to perform it. And then that's fun. So
exactly,
if you could just jump from,
I know,
bypass the hard work.
That, and for me too, like I've I wouldn't say I've struggled, but it's just more of a skill set is the Sibelius. I'm moving into Dorico. I'm really enjoying using Dorico.
Oh, right.
But it is a skill set. Like it's actually, you really do have to sit at the computer like you do with anything else and really just get quicker at it. So in the past, I go through periods where I'm like, I'm not scoring a lot of the stuff. I'll put it all down on manuscript, but I might not like actually plug it in. And then if I leave it for like a couple of months of not using the program, that's what gets frustrating for me. And that's probably been my biggest barrier has been, you know, really just finishing stuff on the actual program, even though I've got it in my head or I've, you know, so that's been an interesting one where I'm like having to tell myself like, come on now, it's not that hard. It's just doing it. So I'll sit down, give myself, you know, make sure I'm doing it. So, you know, that's gotten better over the years, but that has been something that has kind of, you know, been a challenge at times, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it can be, I mean, it's awesome. It's an awesome, you know, software, but you do know you need to know how to use it. Otherwise it becomes just like this annoying barrier and you just get nothing done and it feels so unproductive. Yeah.
And then you got all that frustration. You got this beautiful music going and that creative side of the brain going, woohoo. And then as soon as that turns on for me, it just shuts it down. It just goes, this is hard work. Like, why am I doing this?
Why can't I get rid of this bar? Or how do I get another,
I want it odd times. Like I want it to be 7, 8 here. Just one bar. Like, why won't it let me? You know. Yeah. But so I guess to answer that question is like performing, composing a lot at the moment is how I make music. Yeah, but it's from lots of different angles, you know, and the voice too. You know, I could walk around anywhere doing the dishes, which is fun, and just be singing melodies and you know be able to do those sort of things as I'm doing it subconsciously, which is kind of nice too.
Yeah, nice. And then, I guess the third question is what excites you musically right now?
Ooh, so many things. I'll just say a few, I guess. What's exciting me at the moment? Okay, so, first of all, I guess, so SEMA's sort of doing this wonderful initiative where they are giving away 30 mentees who are sort of young and mid-career. And essentially they're giving, this initiative is basically partnering a mentor with an artist and basically just helping them in whatever they need at that time. Yeah. And I have to say it's come at a wonderful time right now because for me personally, I'm sort of at the end of my academic year and I'm usually would be looking at a lot of gigs through the summer. So I'm kind of going like, what am I doing with my life? And then this wonderful opportunity came up. I got an email through, I think Zoe Houtman, and she was like, oh, would you be interested in this initiative? I was like, dude, this is fantastic. So I've been sort of partnered with a wonderful mentor, Paul Cutland, who's sort of gone like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses as a composer? What project do you want to do? Like, what are you looking at? And so I've now sort of really been able to put down like, okay, cool. Like this is the record I want to do. And I want to get better at arranging and I want to learn more about like these things. And these are his skills. And so we've had a lesson and I'm really consolidating all my work and what the ideas are and, you know, whatever I'm working on. We'll have another lesson. And I have to say it's come at an incredible time for me in terms of just, essentially supporting me in this time because I am really wanting to write more. I am wanting to compose more. And so it's just another way to support that thing. So I'm feeling really like, oh, thank you. I need that. Yeah. So that's great. So I'm really working on the music for that project that I won't speak about yet because it hasn't fully, you know, not fully marinated and confirmed, but yeah, that's exciting. Then I'm also sort of been writing a lot of singer-songwriter stuff. So I've been really looking at my guitar. I've been loving playing guitar. I've always wanted to be able to play solo. I never let myself do it because I'm way too hard on myself, so it's never good enough. But I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, no, Elly, you're going to be playing that guitar more regularly on your own in public. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've been really just writing heaps of tunes, just lots of singer-songwriter tunes, sort of folky, stuff. And that's been so inspiring. And I'm sort of already going, yep, I'm ready to busk, because there's really not a lot of gigs yet in London. So then I might busk a few days a week this week just to get on back out. Yeah. So that's exciting me. I've started a little sort of group with two other wonderful singer-songwriters here in London called Lyen, Lyen. And we've basically working towards having an EP. It was meant to be to the end of the year, but we'll see how that happens. Yeah. But and this is a 3-part harmony group that I adore it, Mace. It just makes my heart really happy. And again, it's that collaborating connection thing. Yeah. I realise it's really about 3 people, and we really love each other and support each other, have done through this period as well. And so, we co-write as well, which has been a change for me. Right. So I'm not on my own writing. It's like we're writing together. So, and we talk about our strengths. And so for me, melody is really strong. We've got another person in the group she's a boss. Her name's Lisby Staten, and she's incredible as an artist. And then you've got Nina Rosenberger. But so, she's an incredible lyricist that literally will just be like bang, 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 and you'll have a melody, and it's just incredible. Oh, so awesome. That group is amazing. And so they're the main things I'm excited about. I'm listening to a lot of music, again, with all this time. I'm sort of listening to Becca Stevens' new album, Wonder Bloom. I had a songwriting lesson with her 2 weeks ago, which was absolutely awesome. I'm really digging. There's this cool arrangement, this funk cover of Tearing Up My Heart, and it's featuring Michael Mayo. And it's so good, Mace. It's just a rad, and he improvises over this tune. So it's such a funk contemporary kind of thing, but he just does this amazing sort of improvisation that you're like, yes, man, you're wicked. So I've been getting into that. I actually spent a bit of time listening to, watching. Jacob Collier did this 8-hour marathon on Logic live. And he basically, it was insane. And he was harmonizing all these videos. And what I loved about it was I got to see how he works on Logic, because I'm learning that at the moment too. Oh, right. And it was insane to see him, how quick he is and how he kind of does his harmonies. Right. And I've always wondered it because they're quite complex. And I was like, how the hell is he doing all this? But it was actually made a lot more sense. So check it out on YouTube. It's this 8-hour marathon, but it's so cool because you can see his process. You can see how he does it. He does use his piano, actually. He bases a lot of his harmony off his voicings, and he'll then match them. So, so that's kind of what's getting me excited, is just all these wonderful people making music, and the different projects that I'm sort of, getting excited about.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Will. Thanks for sharing your time and your, I always love talking with you, your enthusiasm. Get fired up about so many things. It's so good.
I like music.
It is pretty rad. That is for sure. Well, thank you, and stay well, and hopefully see you in person soon.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.